I said I wanted to replace them with a professional.
That's true, we didn't specify what kind of professional.
No, as a matter of fact, I meant a professional podcast guest. There's really only one person that fits that description here on this ship. Please welcome, if you would please, Paul F. Tompkins to the stage.
Yeah, this is living. How you doing, Paul? Look, I'm great. Fellas, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for joining us.
By being on our podcast, you now have been on every single podcast on the internet, I believe.
I think so. Yours was the last one. I'm sorry it took so long. It is fun. It is for those who don't know. I do appear on a fair amount of podcasts in addition to doing my own podcast. And it's,
well, go ahead and say the name of that if you would.
That is the Pod F Tompcast. So it makes sense that even on the high seas, could not escape appearing on podcasts.
It's pretty much the primary motivation that we had for inviting you. That's not true.
Immediately remove burn! Put it out there and pull it back in right away! Testing the waters!
Can I say something about the burn practice?
Please do.
I will say, I blame myself and David Reese for inflicting this plague upon the ship. We started doing it. There's some confusion as to how it is done.
Yes!
People are I notice that people are putting 2 fingers over their lips as if to either imitate or obscure a mustache, and then doing a sort of revolving hand in the air with their opposite hand in an Arsenio sort of style.
In case anyone was unclear. Arsenio.
What it is you're supposed to be sort of covering your mouth in disbelief, like, I am shocked that just happened, how badly you were just burned. But with the other hand, you are pointing in such a way as if you were trying to shake the shame off of your fingers and onto the person who just received the burn.
So shame by association,
Yes.
I do not want this.
Yes.
Okay.
It is a gasp. You are hiding a gasp, but at the same time pointing out to everyone, look at this fool who was just ridiculed in front of the entire.
Which is a lot to accomplish in 2 gestures.
Kind of representing the duality of man.
It's beautiful in its economy.
In truth, the reason you are here is, of course, your comedy in general. In talking with Joseph Scrimshaw, it amazes me, in the Paul F. Tompkins show that you do live, in the Pod F. Tomcast, and pretty much anywhere you appear live, it is like watching a snake unhinge its jaw.
Oh, I can't wait to see where this one is going.
And you have an ability to free associate in a way that I don't think you possibly know where it's going. And much as the snake
I sure don't.
devours a buffalo, say, you are amazed that it happened.
I feel like there is a veiled fat insult in there somewhere.
I assure you there is not.
Yeah, it's a thing that I started doing. I mean, a little bit from just doing stand-up for so long. But when I really started doing that there was a show on HBO that was my first job when I got to Los Angeles called Mr. Show with Bob and David. That show with Bob and David Cross, and I did warm-up for the live broadcast, and so I ran out of my prepared material almost immediately, and there was a lot of time to fill, and there were a lot of the same people were coming to all the tapings. Like, I would see the same faces in the audience over and over again. So I was like, oh, man, I cannot do the same material every single night. So that's when, just by sheer need, I got good at improv, as quickly as I possibly could, and then it just became a thing that it became a staple of my live shows.
Because now, to an outsider, it seems seamless. It's, of course, his mind just works that way. Was there a period when you just fell on your face doing it?
Oh yeah. It would the way it would work would be, it would go along good for a while, and then I knew it was time to stop when people weren't laughing anymore. But I was gradually able to increase the amount of time that people were laughing. And my sort of dream is I eventually would love to do an entire, hour-long set that is completely unprepared and just completely improvised in the moment, and have it be good. I mean, I could do that right now. But I don't know if you would count the whole hour in the good column.
Is there anything besides fear that you need to prepare to do the stream of consciousness?
No, I don't think that there is. I don't think that there is. I think it's just letting your mind go, and it's brought about a terrible habit, but which over which I have no control, which is the laughing at myself, which happens a lot. Happens on the podcast all the time.
Yes.
Not only yes and a burn over this. It's because the thing is, and I can't help it.
There it is, right there.
But I don't know what I'm going to say, so I'm hearing it at the same time as the audience is hearing it, and it's like I'm like maybe a half a second ahead, and so it comes out of my mouth, and then it takes me by surprise and makes me laugh.
But it's charming though. It's punctuation. It's better.
God, I hope so, Storm.
I have I've come to know you a bit, but even before then, just watching you through stand-up and hearing you on podcasts and such, from everything from your sense of personal style to the Paul F. Tompkins show, which has it's a variety show basically,
yes.
the one you do live. You've always struck me as a person who has a great love of sort of old-time show business. Is that something that you've always had? Is that something you grew to appreciate over time?
Well, it's the show business that I knew when I was a kid, and it was, I grew up watching, when I was little, like the Donnie and Marie show, and Sonny and Cher, and there were these big budget variety shows that had, a lot of music, but also had these sketches that seemingly went on forever. Like 5 to 10 minutes on average. And it was things like the Donnie and Marie show one time had they did a Star Wars sketch.
Yeah.
I watched this show.
Right?
I saw that show.
They had the actual C-3PO and R2-D2, and as a child, like seeing that, I treated, in my mind, I treated them as if they were celebrities. Right?
Like, sure.
It's really them.
Yeah.
And they wove in musical numbers into this interminable sketch where Donnie and Marie played Luke and Laura from General Hospital. This was a very involved sketch.
Sometimes the free association eats the man.
Remember when they finally found the Ice Princess?
Yes, and they had to defeat the Cassidines?
Yes. Oh, Scorpio was such a hottie.
They never should have.
We're leaving so many people under the age of 33 in the dust right now.
That was my story. That's my story. That was my story.
My stories.
Well, I have to watch my stories.
So you want to bring that back?
Yeah, well... You know what? Yes, I do. But I want to go even weirder with it. And believe me, they had Chris Christopherson playing the role of Han Solo, clearly drunk. Clearly drunk. And then to top it all off, Paul Lynde as Grand Moff Tarkin. So it was insane. And so but I loved the weaving of comedy and music and celebrity guests and things like that. So that is, that was my idea of showbiz when I was a kid. And seeing people on talk shows and it all seemed very, very glamorous. And you know, I dressed up. This is the most casual I've ever appeared in public, I think.
Yeah, you are looking a little on the Tompkins scale sloppy.
Yes. This is, look, I got my hangover wig going. I've just been drinking like an insane college student for the last 3 nights. There was a point where I just like said, well, this is just gonna happen. After the first one, I was like, I better just be careful tonight because last night I overdid it that night too. And I was like, I guess that's how this is going.
We've had this discussion with Jonathan. I don't remember if he said it in front of these people, but it is an amazing evolution. When we all did the first cruise, everybody's kind of anxious and you're really not quite sure, and there's all these old people and sparkly things in the store, and you don't know how you're going to adjust to this particular setting and situation. And by day 3, you have fully evolved into a terrible, awful person.
Yeah. Just a monstrous glutton.
I didn't get a full selection of teas with my tea service at 4. What the hell? Expect me to drink chamomile? Someone's getting fired.
Jumping back to your excellent sense of style, so is it from the Donnie and Marie variety era that grew from?
It was from back then when I was growing up. It was still that anybody who appeared on television, you know, if you were on the Tonight Show, if you were on the Merv Griffin Show, everyone was dressed up.